Apologize. I have no idea how to push back on you on that. But I just want so you would say let me ask you one more question about this. So like I think if you could just anyway. So this it's you said Wasserman Schultz has not only refused to condemn the over anti-Semitic rhetoric of Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, but she supported Omar's appointment to the Foreign Relations Committee despite Omar's advocacy of a boycott of Israel. Uh, Omar used that platform to issue regular libels against Israel and Jews that include references to Jews and their Benjamins. I won't be lecturing. So when I see that, it's like, oh well, people call you anti-Semitic incorrectly all the time, and it's just why wouldn't you be more hesitant? Aren't you doing the same thing here that people do to you?
No, I'm not, because I never said anything anti-Semitic. If she was criticizing Israel, that is not anti-Semitism. Everybody has a right to criticize Israel, just like it's an imperfect democracy. The only democracy in the Mideast, but it's an imperfect democracy, just like we are. And people ought to criticize it. But if you're applying a different set of standards to Israel than you are every other country, if you let every other country slide on human rights abuses and I mean, every country in the Mideast is an apartheid state. They don't let Jews live there. They don't let Jews hold office. They don't let Jews into their
Jews
legislature.
live in Iran. There's temples in Iran.
But there's nobody in political office. It's apartheid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, why aren't they all apartheid? They're apartheid against Jews. The Jews let Palestinians. Israel allows Palestinians to vote, allow them to hold political office. They have the same rights as other Israelis. They even have more rights because they can visit the Temple Mount, and Israelis are not allowed to. They serve on the courts. They participate in the democracy. It's the only place in the Mideast where you can practice freedom of religion, where women have rights, where gays have rights, where there's real democracy. And why is she calling that Israel an apartheid state and not saying Jordan, Syria, Egypt, Iran?
So if she did that, you would go, okay, Israel's an apartheid state?
Of course. If she's saying that all of them are apartheid state, that's fine. But if she only says Israel's an apartheid state, that's anti-Semitism. And calling, talking about Israel's and their Benjamins, that's a little sketchy when you say.
So I just aren't you?
So yeah, there was a lot there, but I'm just.
That's propaganda. I mean, that's a propaganda talking point. I can't say for certain that, Jews aren't part of the, political offices and stuff within Iran. I'm not an expert of Iranian politics, but I do feel like a lot of what he said there is bullshit. And it feels like that's, going back to like, someone's telling him to say this. And I would just remind people that, the definition of apartheid as defined by Cambridge Dictionary, which I'm talking about in my video coming up tomorrow, is this took place in South Africa, and it was a system under which people of different races were kept separate by law, and white people were given more political rights and educational and other advantages. And it's a system of keeping groups of people separate and treating them differently, especially when this results in disadvantage for one group. I wouldn't say that apartheid is the way that it's defined would work in Iran or in these other Middle Eastern countries that he's trying to say are apartheid. But you can say that that is what is happening in Israel with Palestinians because of a place like Gaza. They are citizens within the country, but they are not allowed to basically act as a citizen. They do not have rights. They do not have freedom of movement, and they do not vote. If they were able to vote, that's the problem. If they were able to vote, then the the way that the Israeli government looks would be completely different, which is why they cannot allow them to be a full-fledged citizen with all of the rights and responsibilities that would come with. And the fact that he's trying to say that Israel is the only democracy within the Middle East, that's not a democracy where you're forcibly keeping people in an open air prison, which Gaza is defined as that. Like, that is how so many different international organizations define Gaza, as an open air prison. Mm-hmm. But by denying them any level of agency and citizenry, that is segregation, that is apartheid. And also the fact that there's roads for Jews, Israeli Jews, and there's roads for Palestinians. At all of these different checkpoints, Palestinians are treated completely different than they are if they are an Israeli citizen. And this is where he is so uninformed, pushing propaganda. And I get that people like him and like some of the things that he says and things that he stands for and stuff. And I get that. And if they want to vote for him, go right ahead. But don't be surprised when people don't want to support this person because of this situation, because it's such a glaringly obvious area of, it's not just naivete, it's you're purposely not looking at this issue fully because you're being told not to. And so that's what you're doing now.
What else will you turn your back on as well?
Exactly.
What other issues will they be able to persuade you to do this with?
Exactly.
Just really, really think about it, people. Really think about it.
You afraid? Because it breaks my heart in a bit, because it's so great to have a peace candidate, someone who tells the truth about the military-industrial complex. No one does that. And you're right about Ukraine, and you're wrong about Russiagate, which led to Ukraine, but you got right about Russiagate, which is a big deal. And when a dummy like me can see it on day one, what Russiagate was.
Yeah, I didn't say it, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I was. Right, you were.
Because I saw where it was going to go.
A lot of stuff, so you see it.
And they got their war.
What happened to me is I never looked into it. I just, I was taking the narrative from the mainstream media and just that was it. And then I had dinner one night with Oliver Stone and with his son Sean, and the subject came up, and they pushed back hard, and that's when I thought, oh, okay, I better look into this, and that's when my eyes started opening to Russiagate. So I was, it was, I never had any reason to question it. Mm-hmm. Your voice on it, is you have to be reading.
So I thought that right here, it kind of shows that he admits that even with Russiagate, he wasn't paying attention. Mm-hmm. So he kind of spills his own beans right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've gotten, caught up in other PSYOP stuff, and I'm smart on other things, but yeah, that got me. Okay. So.
But he's fully right on Israel.
Right.
But yeah.
Because he doesn't question the mainstream narrative on Israel. So if he did, he'd listen to maybe who? Max Aramate, understand, or Richard Medhurst, understand actual things that are happening. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, I don't. I just, I missed the boat on that whole thing because I didn't have any reason to question MSM. What? What are you saying, dude?
So yeah, I mean, it's really a disservice that I wish that Jimmy had more, had somebody else there to help push back on this. Mm-hmm. Had just known what the points were, because there was other interviews. There could have been a brush up on some of the some of the stuff where it could be debunked. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that he will probably do follow-up shows to debunk what, what he needs to debunk with Max and stuff like that. And that's kind of how this whole system works, right? Everybody, you have an interview, the person gets away with saying a bunch of stuff. It stirs a bunch of people up. A bunch of people want to do reactionary videos like this, like we're doing, to debunk the video. And then he has somebody on that corrects the video. And then the cycle continues. And that is something that I do notice a lot with a lot of these, the people that do reactionary videos. I don't usually do this kind of thing, but there was just so much in this that I felt like it really needed to have its own debunking from actual Palestinian voice, like from somebody that knows a little, that can really express the way that I can't, I can't fully express it in this exact way. So that's why I thought this was really important to do this, even though I don't normally do it.
I appreciate you doing it.
All right, I'm gonna move this again, but yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. He like admits that he's gotten caught up in propaganda before.
Yeah.
You have to be reading alternative media on that stuff to even be awake to the fact that it was happening. Nobody in the mainstream media was reporting it.
No,
and I commend you for that. So I was a late comer to that.
And they marginalized anybody who told the truth about it,
Yeah,
like Bill
of course.
Binney, the top NSA codebreaker for decades. He was the one who said there's no way that DNC server was hacked by Russia. That didn't happen. It was local. And so I knew from day one that was all made up. Anyway, do you worry that, you're such a staunch defender of Israel, it's going to that it'll wreck your peace candidate status? And, you're not, are you for sanctions on Iran? And are you for sanctions on Iran?
Yeah, I would say one of my primary foreign policy objectives is to stop from having a nuclear arms race in the Mideast. And ultimately, I think that would include,
So you don't want other countries to get nukes because Israel has one.
Well, I don't think I wish Israel didn't have it either. But I hope that we can get to a point where there's a peace in the Mideast and that the Israelis can get rid of theirs as well. But I understand if you're a country that's 9 miles across and everybody around you wants to not only kill you, destroy you, but to commit genocide against your people. And it's the stated objective of Iran: commit genocide against all the Jews. And I can understand why you would want a powerful weapon.
Which I would think you would sympathize with Iran more because the CIA overthrew their government.
Yeah, but I'm not listening.
Just right before
I love the Iranian people, and in fact, my campaign staff has a number of Persians on it, and listen, I think the
Yeah. Go ahead. Whatever you want to add in that.
Like I need to bleach my eyeballs.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to remember what he said because he did just like say a whole bunch.
God.
Oh, when he's talking about like the nuclear arms race in the Mideast, Israel is the only country known to have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
State
that would be my remark to him. Is Israel's the only one that we know of that has nuclear weapons and possesses the capability to actually do something with them. So if we're concerned about the nuclear arms race in the Middle East, we should be concerned with the nuclear arms race happening everywhere. Then you should be concerned with what Israel is going to do with that. And like one of the comments a little while ago was talking about how, Israel is always bombing Syria and Iran is pretty much the next place that they want to start tensions with. Israel is who we should be concerned with. And when we have someone say he's the president, is he going to allow the nuclear codes both here and there to get used because he's in the pocket of Israel? I mean, that's where this is so scary.
Dangerous. It's really super dangerous. The rhetoric around this is just really dangerous. And I think most people, it's just going right over their head.
Yeah. All they see is like, oh, at least he at least he stood up to the tyranny and during the pandemic, and like that just erases all this other stuff for people like that. Well, I don't really care about war stuff. That doesn't interest me.
No, because it didn't affect them, and it doesn't affect them as personally as the other stuff that he stands up for, right? So like the other things affected them closer to home, and it affected them more recently, and it's in their recent shadow that is either is still happening or just recently happened, right? But when you think about foreign policy, it doesn't affect as many people directly, even though it does affect us directly. They're not realizing how directly it is affecting us. And that's the thing. There's a disconnect because it's not right here at home. It's not like affecting our every day directly where we see it affecting us directly every day. You know what I mean? Like we have policies and we have things that happen that affect us every day because of our foreign policy, but it's not blatant in our face the same way that COVID was blatant in our face.
Yeah. True. I think the only thing that I would say, not necessarily arguing with that point, but the fact that people don't realize how closely linked our domestic issues that we're having right now are because of all of the war issues that we've got going on. So like inflation is insane because of the war in Ukraine. The recession that we're experiencing is because of the war in Ukraine and the amount of people that were unemployed that got kicked off unemployment rolls so that Biden could conveniently say our unemployment is the lowest we've ever seen. I mean, 8 million jobs haven't just popped out of thin air. Like they're trying to act like, it's the greatest economy ever. And so much of this has precipitated from the Ukraine war, which could have been completely mitigated. And Russia was willing to come to the table on that. Like so many other countries, it's like this is where someone like RFK drives me crazy. It's like you seem intelligent until you start talking shit like this, because it's like you're trying to act like the US isn't the instigator in so many of the global issues going on that affects us here. Yeah, like $4 a gallon for gas. I mean, it affects us when we have these international issues. And because all of the money from our taxes is going to a corrupt Pentagon, is going to a corrupt government that doesn't want to support the American people and support the people of Ukraine and support the people of Israel. It's like they have the so-called democracy. They have universal health care, and we pay for that. That comes out of our tax dollars. If we weren't giving $3.5 billion every year to Israel, imagine what we could do for the problems that we have here in this country. We could have Medicare for all in a second. We could have children not going hungry at school. We could not have the level of homelessness that we have. But, Israel needs their Iron Dome funded, so
it's insane, the stranglehold that's happening like between the two countries, and it's like there's things happening that we don't even realize are in the works, and you can just tell that it's underlying. All right, I'm gonna mute again, and look at how close we are. We're getting close.
We are almost there.
I know, we're getting close to the end.
The Iranian people are more like Americans than anybody in the Mideast, and that they share our values more than probably anybody in the Mideast. But the Iranian government, are they trustworthy? No. I think the Iranian government is a dictatorship, and they're dangerous.
There are many temples in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you agreed to talk with Max Blumenthal, because I'm not equipped, and so I apologize to my audience for not being more equipped on this. And I knew you would know way more about everything about Israel and Palestine than I did going into this, but I had to do my best anyway. Is there anything you wanted to say? Did I not bring up something that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I mean, I could talk to you for a week, so I think we had a long.
Well, I really appreciate that your voice. It breaks my heart that you are risking your peace candidacy over Israel, but but your voice talking about the regulatory agencies, talking about the corporate capture of our government, talking about Ukraine, talking about the intelligence, the deep state, all it is so necessary, and you're clear on it. You're so I just want to say thanks for doing that. Thanks for your leadership on COVID. And I felt the same. How you did with Russiagate. I just didn't. I would do the same thing with you. Like I was just like, oh, everybody says he's a crazy anti-vaxxer. I never thought twice about it. Right? I didn't look into it. And then COVID happened, and then I looked into it, and then now I know that you've actually, been a real hero, and just like you were for the environment, and now you're doing it on the behalf of those people, and you're raising issues. And I think everybody should go watch you explain your whole journey. We didn't get to it today, but your whole journey you explained on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I encourage people to go watch that. You took like 35 minutes and you explained how you got involved with looking into vaccine safety, how the parents were begging you, and
Okay, I think that was the end of when they kind of like talked about.
Thank you,
stuff.
Lord.
We are done. We are done.
We have made it. We have made it through the journey.
Yeah. it was just something that was like really important, I think, to debunk and really give a platform to kind of pick it apart, because there was just so much in that, and there was a lot that I learned from you while we were kind of picking that apart. So I mean, I'm hoping that Jimmy will have Max or somebody, I'm sure, on to follow up and kind of like debunk the points that were made on the show, because I mean that seems to be a pattern that they do, that that kind of thing happens, and then he has somebody come on and they debunk his previous show and corrects the record. So I mean, right now everyone's kind of like, unless they are knowledgeable about the topic, they're kind of like in limbo as to knowing whether or not that's true.
Yeah, and that's how they get so many people too. It's just pushing the propaganda and the specific talking points, and sometimes put people in such a box that they're afraid to even say, "Are you sure?" Because they're so afraid that even questioning a statement being made is going to label them some way somehow. And that's, I mean, in so many areas of discourse right now, that's the huge issue, is just people are so quick to be like, oh, you don't agree with me, we're done talking. And that's not how we solve our issues and look at the broader problems and realize that a lot of these issues are being forced on us to be divisive and to have us not agree with each other on things, so that we're fighting and squabbling with each other and not seeing what the real issue is, which is our government is extremely fucked up and politicians are not who they say that they are, and like just so much of our economy and politics is captured. And I think RFK really exposes that level of capture when it comes to a particular part of our system. It's certainly not all, there's lots of other people and strings that are pulling things in the background, but this just exposes, one part of it. So I guess thanks RFK for at least doing that little bit.
Sure.
And I have the tweet right here that I during that segment when he brought up that he would debate Max Blumenthal. I just wanted to pull it up so that we can show the evidence of what Max is saying about how a day after RFK Jr. agreed on Jimmy Dore's proposal to publicly discuss his pledge of unconditional support of Israel with me, his comms director was dialing me up to offer me a series of unbelievable excuses why he could not why it could not happen in the foreseeable future. So, and he links to the actual episode that we watched right there. So I just wanted to, for full disclosure purposes, show and document that on the screen that is what is being said at this time. So, I'm sure that Jimmy will probably have RFK on as opposed to having RFK. I mean, he will have Max Blumenthal on instead of having RFK and Max on to have a debate or a talk about it. Unfortunately, it would have been nice.
That's how it goes.
But yeah, it's very typical. I can't support this. Like I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, I'm not voting.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Mostly just because I don't see the point anymore. I mean, I vote, like I used to vote all of the time. I'm seeing that our voices don't matter, and that's being shown. I mean, it's been talked about on some other channels about I think it was like a Princeton study being done that like 90% of what we want like as citizens isn't happening because we don't have any power, or like 100% of us, like we don't have any ability to really change policy. And it's because they keep the system going the way that it's going so that they can perpetuate all of the gains that they get from this highly capitalist system that benefits them, that they orchestrate and create legislation and policies that benefit them. I mean, we saw this at the very beginning of the pandemic where they wanted to make sure they got their salaries increased. They wanted to make sure that them as government personnel, that they had their medical care covered. And then they bumped up the stock market so that the stock market didn't crash at the very beginning. And then they used the CARES Act to funnel over $3 trillion to the top. I mean, it's just, it's not a government for us. It's for them. And I kind of can't support it anymore. But I don't fault people that want to vote. And if you want to vote for RFK Jr., go right ahead. Like, I'm not going to judge people because I also see everyone is so propagandized and everyone is trying to do what they think is the best thing. And I can't fault people for that. I mean, I have a lot of time in my day to just watch things and read things and see the bullshit, but like not everyone has that luxury. It's a luxury for me. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm absolutely at the same point. I used to think, oh well, if you don't vote, then I would have all the talking points. So, like,
careful, we're on the YouTube. You know how they love voting because voting is excellent. It's the best thing you can do to affect change in your life.
It's awesome,
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? And safe and effective or something.
I
forget what the catchphrase is, but please insert the catchphrase here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's absolutely crazy. It's have you gotten any of the censorship dings on your channel yet? Have you been hit?
It's not censorship. I get the sense that my channel is being very suppressed.
Oh yeah.
And I also would say for like my Twitter as well. And it's because I'm not afraid to talk about these things. My very first video on my channel was talking about 2 men that were denied life-saving surgeries because they didn't want to take the shot. And I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to do this. Like, I want it on the record that this is where I stand on this.
Yeah, I got hit early on. I got hit a few times. And then they just like, what was it? March or something of this year? They hit me again, and it was for a video from a year previous, like when I first started out. Like, so like they will retroactively go back and like get you for stuff that, like, oh, we'll just leave that there when we want to ding them. It's hard. It's really, really hard to get people to, to find your channel and to promote it. And that's why I think it's really important too, that we help each other out. And, like, hopefully you'll get some new subscribers. Hopefully you guys will go over and check out our channel and her upcoming video. You said it's going to be released tomorrow. Is that what you're saying?
If I can get my editing done by tomorrow, I'm hoping to have it done. It's basically a rebuttal to the House of Representatives vote saying that Israel is not an apartheid state. I'm trying to like keep it a little quippy and sarcastic, but really, really pushing against this narrative that Israel isn't an apartheid state is bullshit, and bringing a lot of facts to that. That's really what I tried to do on my channel. And that might be why I haven't gotten censored, but suppressed, because all of my videos, if I'm referencing something, I have the article, I show where it's coming from. Because I think that that's important. And also, if people want to check me, if I got something wrong, it's like, please tell me where I got it wrong. And also, it's like, I watch videos and I'm like, I wish they would show me that link to that article, because that would be helpful. I try to provide that as often as I can, unless I'm just going on a little rant about something that pissed me off that day or whatever. But yeah, that Israel not being an apartheid state video should be out by tomorrow, and if not, definitely by like Saturday or something. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I put links to find you on Twitter and your YouTube. I already put them in the show notes for this show on YouTube, but we'll update them so that it's on the Rumble and stuff as well.
I am also on Rumble. It's been a slow process trying to like get all of my YouTube stuff uploaded on there. I'm like, it's been like over 2 months now. I think.
Did you sync it? Did you sync them together?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, we did the same thing. Because I mean, Rumble has been better to us than YouTube has, for sure.
Yeah, I've been doing live streams on there in the daytime, spinning music and playing music too.
Nice.
And that way, like, I can just play and spin whatever I feel like, and nobody's gonna bitch at me, and YouTube's not gonna ding me.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the link for the Rumble that's live right now as well. We have more people. We have double the amount of people on Rumble.
Nice, Rumble people. Snowy Leopard's daddy signed up for a monthly supporter on the Rumble locals.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, it shows it over here. That's awesome. I can't wait until they actually integrate it where we'll be able to put the chats up on the screen from Rumble, just like we can from YouTube. Yeah, I can't wait until we can do that.
Supposed to do that soon.
Oh, the YouTube link in the description didn't work. I don't know. I must have hit the wrong thing. Well,
dang it.
We'll get it.
We'll fix it.
What is your YouTube channel name? Do you have it off the top of your head?
It's just at Empathic Times.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's right on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right one right there. Didn't go. I don't know why it didn't work.
The suppression has started.
That's right. We must shadow ban all characters. All right. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you, Amira.
Thank you both for having me. I really appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you wanted to update us about, what is happening in Palestine and or anything like that?
I think I would just harken back to, what I said earlier, which is that it's the children, both the Palestinian and Israeli children, that are suffering the most from this conflict and hostility. And both sides are, I'm not going to say Palestinians aren't, perpetuating some level of stereotypes and things like that. But it's the children that are suffering the most in this situation. And if we want to solve this, it means that we have to stop looking at this as just policy things, that it's really far and distant. It's real, and people are dealing with this on a daily basis. Children go to sleep and don't know if they're going to wake up in the next day, and they're always fearful for their families and stuff. And so that would be like just my main focus, is remembering that there's people at the end of this that are not the aggressors. They didn't start this conflict. And so as soon as we can do that and at least bring that level of empathy to the conversation, I think it will help, because that's what's needed, is to start looking at this as people and not just numbers on the screen, that are very distant. And that's what the media does. That's what propaganda does. Mainstream media is really just, they're such like separationists and trying to keep us, not thinking of these people as people. It's, oh, they're aggressors, they're terrorists. And these are really easy and convenient labels to give to people so that you dehumanize them. We're all people. We are all connected. And honestly, like the only way we're going to fix any of these issues is if we stop with all of the divisive, rhetoric and feeding into that and thinking that our neighbor is awful because they voted for Trump or they voted for Biden. It doesn't matter. And I think that as a collective, we can do a lot more when we come together.
Absolutely. I'm always saying the same things over here. Like we have to figure, if we look for the things that we agree upon and we can work towards those first, then we're gonna get somewhere and we're gonna get momentum. And when we support each other, it helps all of us. It really does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so where can, besides on your YouTube, so your YouTube and your Rumble, are they the same names?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, see, that makes it so easy. So we'll make sure that we update everything and we get the right links down below and all of that. Well,
great.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come back anytime. We'll do some more. All right, you stay right there. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Please hit that like button wherever you're watching the content.
Peace out, everybody.
We appreciate you.